And she sat out there and videotaped me for an hour.
I took pictures, and the pictures, he has that evidence as well, ma'am. I took pictures and the pictures of the fence.
I'm talking about the fence that Nan and John put up in the backyard. It is not the same as mine.
No, it's not. And actually, there's images of that. You can see back where my shed is.
Your fence, honey, goes across the back of your yard, and it isn't shadow boxed, because I think all of this is so trivial and stupid.
This one is just ridiculous from start to finish. We've got a smug, entitled Karen dragging her 67-year-old neighbor into court over a couple of tiny paint chips on the backside of a fence she doesn't even own. Yeah, you heard that right. The fence was bought and installed by the grandma, and the so-called damage was so minor she literally power washed it clean the same day. But instead of just letting it go, Karen whipped out her phone like she was catching a felony in progress and then hauled her neighbor to court.
Pur petit non-sens.
And honestly, you can see the judge's patience wearing thin before the case even gets going. So what do you guys think? Is this peak Karen behavior, or does the grandma actually owe her something here?
Let's roll the footage and break it down.
When I purchased the house, she's correct, and I purchased the house 5 years ago, and well, almost 5 years ago. In 2019, I spoke to her in the spring. I didn't see her until the spring. And I asked her about the fence because the back fencing needed repair. And I have a dog, so I wanted to make sure that if I need to make any repairs on the fencing on both sides, that I was talking to the neighbors to find out whose responsibility it was so that I did the right thing. And she said that in the beginning, 3 families went in and purchased the fencing, and that, yes, this side was my side. I could plant my garden.
Who told you that?
Sharon.
Sharon. Wilson? Oh, okay.
It was, sir.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure I wasn't planting my plants too close to the fence if it was her fence, and what the expectations were. So she told me that, yes, that side was my side, that it was to be taken care of by me, and that I could plant up to the fence line. And we had a, a pretty cordial relationship as neighbors up until 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. And after that, she had somebody come in my yard and stuff out with a weed whacker, and I said I just would like to be left alone. So when she had this fence painted, they had started painting the back end of it, which is where my backyard is, and I noticed that the red paint was getting all on my side of it. And so I went out there and I said, hey, you guys, the paint's getting getting red on my side. You please stop painting my side. I don't care what you paint her side. That's fine. That's hers. She can do what she wants, but I just don't want it on my side. So they left, and then a couple days later they came back. The first day was like June 30th, and then the second time they came back, there was 3 of them, and they were continuing to paint. And I was like, listen, this is going to be really expensive to fix because this is such an old fence. So please, let's not get any more red paint over here. And I had talked to the one guy. He had a dog, and he was pretty nice about it. He was like, okay, well, when I come back, I might be able to fix this. I have a new tool that I have, and it might be able to get this off. And we had discussed about letting me know when they were coming back to paint the rest of it so that I could cover my plants. And he had agreed that he had some stuff that he could cover it with too, or whatever. And it seemed really cordial. And then he actually came back and painted the fence and didn't talk to me about it, but it was not a problem at that point. Then in September, they came back and repainted it. And that's when all the paint started getting on my side again. And I said, I need to stop. This is getting out of hand. And it just wasn't getting resolved. I had sent Sharon a couple texts. I had called her twice and left a voicemail. She wasn't answering. So after that, I spoke to her in her driveway, and I said, listen, if we can't resolve something, I'm just going to have to take it to small claims court. And she didn't say anything. So I just decided to take it to small claims court so that we could resolve it, because she's a good person. She honestly believes that the fence is hers because she paid money towards the fence before I moved in. But I think that because I bought property and everything was included in the property, including whatever money they paid towards the fence on the property line, that it's mine. So I think that's where confusion is, and that's where we need intervention.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, did you say that the fence was jointly owned or jointly put up by the property owner?
No, and I have a letter here from the old neighbor, Nan, that lived over there for 35 years, and that states that it wasn't her fence. She did not pay for it. And
well, I'm not going to look at a letter though, or anything else anybody else told you. You can only tell me what you got.
Okay.
When was the fence hold on, when was the fence originally put up? Tell me that.
I don't know the exact dates, but like in 93, 94, somewhere in there.
And were you still a property owner where you're at now at that point?
Yes, I've been here for 33
Okay.
years.
Okay, so when the fence got put in, was there an agreement that it was a mutual agreement between property owners that a fence would be put up? Is that
No.
right?
No, this
Did
is,
you pay for did you
I
pay for the fence?
I paid for the fence. My husband and I paid
Okay, how
always,
much did you pay for the, hold on, how much did you pay for the fence then? remember?
back then it was like $4,000.
And none of the other property owners had anything to do with it,
No,
okay? Why, how would Miss Baker get that confused if you told her it was your
I
fence?
told her that Nan and John, my old neighbors, and they had asked me if I would not paint that side of the fence as long as they maintained it, just so it would match their fence, because they went and had a fence put up too. They put a deck there and put a gate in and everything, and they wanted it to look all natural, where mine was, I was painting it. And they asked me
Okay.
would I do that for them. And
When,
when Holly came to me and talked about that, I told her that I would treat her just like I did Nan and John with the fence, just enjoy it.
Now that we've heard this poor lady's side of the story, it's honestly wild that this Karen thought suing her was the best move. Think about it. You buy a fence, you paint it, and suddenly your neighbor acts like you've committed a crime worth dragging into court. Instead of building a good relationship with a sweet older neighbor, she decided to start a war over a microscopic paint chip. The damage she's whining about? It could have been wiped away in under 5 minutes with a damp rag. But instead of being a reasonable person, she went full courtroom mode. And here's the kicker: legally, property owners can sometimes be held responsible for damage to a neighbor's property. But this wasn't even her fence, and it had already been cleaned up. There's no case here. It's petty to the point of embarrassing. Honestly, it feels less about justice and more about attention, like Karen just wanted the spotlight and the satisfaction of flexing power for a day. So what do you think? Was this ever a remotely valid reason to sue, or is this just peak pettiness on display?
kind of, I guess, agreement with your other neighbor. When
Yeah.
did that take place? That you would only paint your side? How long ago was that? Just curious.
Like 30 years ago almost. I mean,
Wow.
it's been a long time. There has been no
Yeah.
issues on this fence until this summer. My fence is so old, it had already fallen down once. And I hired a
Yeah.
fella, which I also have a document here of him saying he came to my home and he redug fence post holes and re-put the fence back up because it was falling down. All the cement post, the post and the cements were all rotted off at the ground level. And if it wasn't for me hiring him, there wouldn't even be a fence.
Okay. So, it's your testimony that you've maintained that fence for the last 30 years or so? Is that right?
Yes, since it was put up. Yes, sir.
Has any of the other neighbors, even before Ms. Baker, anybody make any claim to that fence or the property up to that fence?
No,
Okay.
I get along with all my neighbors, and I don't know where she got 3 neighbors were paying for it, because that is not so.
Okay. And again, I just want to make sure I understand. You've been there consistently for 30 years. No
30
breaks in time, anything like that.
33 years.
Okay. All right, Ms. Baker, what can you tell me to help me out, saying that, show me that she doesn't own the fence? She's been there 30 years.
The fencing was put up there. This is what the other guy that painted told me the same
But you
story.
can't tell me
that-
what anybody else, yeah, you can't tell me what anybody else said.
He's
Okay,
here.
well, in the evidence that I provided, I show the Genesee County GIS property line. I also have the same fencing put up in my backyard. The same fence
The
goes
same.
the back end of my fencing, and the side fencing is all the same fencing. It was all put up at the same time.
The fence was a shadow box fence on my side, and the fence that's in her yard is solid.
No, it's not. And actually there's images of that. You can see back where my shed is.
Yeah, but that's not your fence. I'm talking about the fence that Nan and John put up in the backyard. It is not the same as mine.
It's
I
the same
bought the
fence. It's
shadow
exactly the same fence, and you can see in the images.
Where the fence line is, sir, and the old fence fell down. There's no longer I had the posts that had the pretty tops on them and everything. And where the fence was re-put up after it fell down, them posts aren't like that. So, and that's the majority of the fence. And I also had an addition put onto my home back in about 2005. And when I did, it created a vulnerable space between my fence and the back of my addition where I was worried somebody might be able to break in and nobody would see them. So I hired this guy to come in and put 12 foot of fence onto the front of that fence, plus move the front fence and gates up to the front of my addition, to the back of my addition and everything. So, I mean, I have all that documentation here signed by these people that shows that I have maintained this fence and taken care of it. Like I said, it was on the ground a couple of times because of we live on a hill and all the drainage comes down across my backyard and stuff, and it rots everything fast.
That's 100% correct. And the back line of my property has the same issue with the fencing, where when I had to have it repaired with dig up the holes and take the cement out, the he's talking about that had the decorative top to it, I had to those out. There's a couple of them still left, but it's all the same. It's all the same fencing and same design. But when we had repaired them, we just put up the regular post, because actually it was pretty difficult for them to dig out the cement and then re-put cement posts in. She's absolutely correct that the fence is a nightmare to fix.
Okay. Anybody got a survey for me?
I have a
The
survey.
property?
I have a
Can you get
survey
it?
from before my addition was put on, but I have it. I have where I could download it to you if you'd like, but
Can you do that for me? Can you?
I needed an
can you-
email address though I have
Yep, I can get you. Why don't you do that then? I'll get you an email address, and can you email it to Ms. Baker too?
I can try. I'm
Sure.
67 years old. I can try, but yes.
Okay, let's give it a shot. I'll give you our email address.
67 years old, and this grandma is still moving quicker and handling herself better than people half her age. Watching her in court, you can tell she's just trying to live her life without being dragged into nonsense like this. And honestly, it's heartbreaking. She might not even have her partner at home anymore, yet here she is defending herself against a paint chip lawsuit. Sued for painting her own fence. That's where we're at nowadays. If I were the neighbor, I'd just say, hey, a little paint got on my side. Just be careful next time, and then wipe it off myself. Done. Problem solved. But instead, this grandma cleaned it up immediately, and rather than a thank you, this Karen doubled down, filmed her like she was committing a crime and hauled her into court. That's not protecting property, that's picking a fight. The neighbor wasn't harmed, robbed, or even truly inconvenienced. She just wanted to make it a problem. And if anything, it feels like she was trying to bully this woman into submission. So here's the real question. Should this grandma hit back with a countersuit to make Karen regret ever starting this? Or should she just take the high road and walk away?
Sure, that's okay. Yep. In fact, I should have done this at the beginning. I'll just text it or chat with you as well with that address. And I just sent you that email address again, just so you have it.
Did anything come?
I don't know, Janet, nope, nothing there yet.
Okay.
Can you hold it up to the screen? Maybe I can take a look at it. I don't know if that's going to work, but let's take a look.
This is my survey.
Okay.
This was before my addition.
Okay. Why don't you, yeah, I got you on two different views here. There you go. Where just point to where the fence is on that diagram on your survey there.
Okay, let me see. This would
Does it show the fence? Maybe it doesn't even show the fence. If
well,
it
the
doesn't show
fence wasn't there when this survey.
Oh, then that's not gonna.
But this is the survey that the fence company used to put the fence up.
Was there a line showing where the fence was going to go?
No.
Oh, then that's not going to help
It
us
just
one way or the
shows-
other. I thought you went with the.
And that is just my survey of the land, and I
Are there any stakes out in your yard? I don't
no.
expect either one of you to go out there right now. No, Miss Baker, what about you? Are there stakes out in your yard?
The drive.
They're under the ground. You can use a metal detector and they'll beep. That's what I had
Okay,
to do.
but you can't.
The,
Yeah. Okay.
right before my old neighbor moved, she had a new driveway and a drainage thing and everything put there. She didn't know she was going to move at the time and stuff. And our property touch out by my driveway and her driveway touch.
Okay. I guess.
And the
did-
only
did-
thing
did-
is the telephone pole is right down the middle of the property.
Okay.
Well, there's
Miss-
there's land there in between the driveways.
Okay, Miss Baker, you gotta help me out a little bit more than what, anything else you want? I did see your photos, and I understand what you're saying. But what she's telling me is that that fence is something she put up, and I've got nothing to dispute that she didn't install that fence.
The
Anything else
fencing
to
is
tell me differently?
connected. The fencing is connected in the back. The fencing was put up around
Okay.
this property.
But if you
And
look at your
you can
gate
see in
where
the
your
picture.
gate is, it's not attached.
The gate was put up separately with the deck, but the fencing is all the same. And you can see in the corner in the images behind the shed that it is attached.
Your fence,
And it's
honey,
the same.
your fence, honey, goes across the back of your yard, and it isn't shadow boxed. It is solid. It's one board right next to another. Where
It's
mine
not.
is shadow boxed. No, only place that shadow boxed is behind your shed and along that way.
Okay, guys, I guess I'm just gonna have to make a decision based on what both of you are telling me.
Sir,
it.
I went outside at one point when it was really, really warm at the beginning of November, and I was going to power wash off the dish soap that Holly had poured all over my fence when my painters were here, which my painter is right here to say that.
Okay.
And she poured dish soap over my wet paint so the painters couldn't continue to paint. Anyway, I took the power washer out and I was going to get that off. And while I was out there, I decided I would go along with the power washer and hit all those spots on the fence where their brushes went on her side and get it off of the fence, because I think all of this is so trivial and stupid. Anyway, I did that, and she sat out there and videotaped me for an
I
hour.
took pictures, and the pictures, he
vandalizing
has that evidence as well, ma'am.
That
I
I was
took pictures,
vandalizing
and the
her
pictures of the fence being just completely taken off the fence into smithers. That's
Okay.
also in the
All right.
evidence.
Fences like that because
Okay, guys.
they're
All right,
rotted
I'm gonna take
out.
hold on. We're not being helpful one or the other. I'm gonna get off for just now, review my notes and come back and give you my decision, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Did my text come over?
Okay, we can go back on the record. I did get a chance to review my notes regarding testimony taken, all the pictures that Ms. Baker has submitted as well. I do find that Ms. Wilson has been on this property for the past 30 years consistently on that property. She claims it is her fence. She put the fence up. There's nothing that disputed that. I've not seen a survey that shows where that fence line runs. But given all the testimony, all the evidence I have seen, that fence belongs to Ms. Wilson for today's purposes. Painted her side. I do see that there's some paint that has lapped over onto the other side of the fence. However, it is her fence based upon all the evidence today. Therefore, case is dismissed, no cause of action. Okay?
Thank you, Your
Good luck
Honor.
to both of you. All right,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Let me know what you thought about this absolutely ridiculous reason to drag a 67-year-old grandma into court over painting her own fence. The level of pettiness here is honestly impressive, in the worst possible way. And as we saw at the end, the poor grandma was out there power washing the other side just to avoid another lawsuit, while Karen stood there filming her like she just uncovered a felony. Unless this sweet old lady has a secret villain backstory, kidding of course, there's just no justification for this. It's a complete waste of the court's time, the judge's patience, and the taxpayers' money. Honestly, if anyone deserved a fine here, it was Karen, for wasting everybody's day. But hey, maybe you see it differently. Was this just a petty feud taken way too far, or do you think Karen actually had a case? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe, stay sane, and definitely, stay away from petty neighbors.